then background color gray should apply. But actually empty means, you see, we used some space there. Space is not empty actually. So because space will occupy blank. So empty means this is empty. You see the gray color will come. So empty, wherever it is empty, so that color will apply. You can put a different option also. So suppose if space is there, it's not considered as empty because that is used as a blank space, and blank space also can have effect. It will apply as blank space, right? So that is generally empty selector. We call as empty selector. So next we have in the selectors, these are all structural selectors. First child, last child, and the root, all these. Next important, we have pseudo element selectors. Pseudo element selectors. These pseudo element selectors are defined with a double colon. So that is inheriting and implementing the class. Inheriting and implementing the class is defined by using double colon actually. So suppose I am writing, so this double colon, we have first line, we have first letter. So we have like before, we have after. So we have the options like placeholder. So placeholder. We have like selection. These comes under pseudo element selectors. And pseudo element selectors are defined by using double colon. So that means they actually perform inheriting. They actually perform inheriting and implementing. So they are used for configuring additional effects for first line, first letter like that. So you see some paragraph is there. So we have some paragraph. Let's paste that, right? So the paragraph option, right? Let's copy a paragraph here. And we will keep that paragraph. Yeah. And let's save this. That is the paragraph we want to apply for the first line. So we can just give the effect for first line, just P paragraph and double colon, first line. And first line, some font style, italic. And you can see it will be italicized. First line will be italic. You can put colors, shading, anything. If you want to apply for only first letter, so you can say first letter. Then it will be applied in this way. It will be only first letter. For first letter, what you can do? We can use, so font, weight, bold. Font size, suppose 30 pixel. And it will be displayed like that. So you can put a different color, different appearance for it. So that is generally for first character. You can apply for first character. So you can apply for first line. So you can define by using these two. Before, after, that means generally we can add contents before and after any element. So sometimes that is very important. For example, suppose I have given some options like list items. Yeah, here we defined like ordered list item. So here home and about and contact like options. Now usually they are displayed one below another. I will put ordered list display as flex. Display flex will keep side by side. Now for list item, ordered list, one more we will show. List style none. List style none means it will not have numbering. Now after every list item, that means li double colon after every list item, you can put content. Content I will put here. So some space. Like this, you can put a content. I just given my own symbol. You can give any symbol. And it will keep that content after every element. That is after. But I don't want to apply to the last one. Then how to remove it? We can write like this. List item. So, and that is the last item. That means last child. We will use last child. For list item last child, after that last child, content must be empty. It should not have anything. That means the list item last child and after that last child. So the content will be empty. Because you can see now, after last child, it will not be there. You can write after or you can write before. Suppose I given before. So before every element, it will be having that spell. Now for first child, before we don't want any content. So here we say first child. First child before, yeah, any content is there, it will remove. That is generally before and after. This type of appearance is regularly seen in websites. Side by side, when you are keeping, you can put a slash separated with slash, hyphens, comma. Any symbols you can add. That is before and after. Next, placeholder and selection. Usually placeholder you learned in form input element. So when you are designing form input element. So here I am designing, so name, text box. So input type is equal to text. And for this text box, we have placeholder. placeholder as name required, like this. And that is name required placeholder will come. I want to change the color and effects for that placeholder. This is asked regularly in interviews also. How to change the color of placeholder. So through this selector we can do. So we can add here input type is equal to text. Then for that we have to apply double colon placeholder, and the placeholder text. What is the placeholder text we need to define? Placeholder text is usually cannot have backgrounds and all. Not good for that. So just color. We have red. And that placeholder color will be red. However, you know that placeholder will be removed when we type some content. So, and it is again displayed. That is generally placeholder. Right. So it is only for the elements that can have placeholder. Selection. Selection is used for any paragraphs or so. Suppose we have paragraph. So for paragraphs or so, selection can be defined here. So in the paragraph, you have some content. So for paragraph here, we can simply put P colon selection, and the selection background color yellow. It is like highlighter. So you are highlighting some content on the page. It is like highlighter. You can see when I am selecting, it will be applying that color. For only that selected background, it will apply that color. That is just for highlighting the content while reading. That's how generally we highlight the content. So for that we have the selection selector. So this is generally pseudo element selectors. We also have a language selector, a negation selector. So language negation and universal. Universal already I told you. Language is nothing but actually we have a language attribute. Suppose this paragraph is having language. So English. So wherever the paragraph language English, suppose another paragraph is having so paragraph. So that is also having a language. So this is having the language, and we define the language as some other. Or it is not having language. So you can have like French, like that. Suppose you don't have that language. One paragraph is defined with language. And the paragraphs that have language, so I want to highlight it or keep in a different appearance type. Then here we have to define paragraph, colon, language is EN, English. Then it will apply the background color. So based on language also, you can handle the selector. Based on language also, you can define the selector. So you can apply some effects. Generally, sometimes in one page, different languages can be used, like French, German, like that, English. In that case, based on the language we want to apply the effects, you can use this language selector. Another negation selector. Negation selector is used for applying effects to all others. So which are not having the specified configuration. For example, we have paragraph. So we have paragraphs, para 1. So para 2, 3, 4, like that. We have some paragraphs. Just 2 and 3, 4, 5, some paragraphs. And you can see that generally paragraph on paragraph have an ID as effects. Another paragraph have ID effects. So I want to apply to all paragraphs that doesn't have ID effects. Then, or that doesn't have ID. Then you can write paragraph. And I want to apply to all paragraphs that doesn't have ID. Then, so we have to use not negation selector. So not having, so ID, so not having ID. I written like this. Then color is equal to red. Not having ID, color will be red, but it is applying everywhere. Because it is asking which ID, not attribute. For that, we have attribute selector. So that means we have to write the ID reference like, so here we have hash. So effects, we have to write in this way. So just mention the ID, hash effects. That means it will apply to all paragraphs that are not having this effects ID. So ID you can write with hash, and type we can define by using a dot you can use for class. Directly selectors you can mention. So it will apply to all paragraphs and ignore only the paragraphs that are having effects. That's how you can manage the effect. You can configure and manage the effects. So this is negation selector. We call that as negation selector. So negation selector is used to apply to all others, so that are not configured with the specified content. These are all CSS selectors. Once we know these selectors, then we can easily decide how to apply to that element. Because in a page, elements will be in different order, different styles. Knowing selectors is very important. And once you know the selectors, then it is easy to apply to that particular element. And we can change the appearance dynamically also. So this is the important concept which will reduce the usage of JavaScript. Early days in CSS, we don't have so many selectors. That is the reason what happens is we have to apply a lot of effects also with JavaScript only. Through JavaScript, we need to know the position, access the location, and apply an effect to that location. That means, is it even, is it odd? For that, we need to write programs. but now simply selectors. But these selectors are internally using some programming. That's why they are classes. They have some functionality defined, which you are just implementing. So these are all the selectors required for applying styles to different elements. I hope everyone is clear with all these selectors. Understood all these selectors? Good. So these are all the selectors and how we can work and how we can use with the selectors. Yeah. Next, after understanding about the selectors, now we need to start learning effects. So how to apply the effects, how to define the effects for elements. So that is the important part. So we need to apply and define the effects for elements and write them. You have learned how to select them first. Then we can apply effects now. Let's see how do we apply the effects. So what are all the CSS effects and work with them. Now one more option is there. To understand CSS effects, before writing the CSS effects, in this, you need to know how the colors, gradients, and units are used. First, we will see about colors. So we will see about colors in CSS. Actually, when you are applying colors, yeah, you can use multiple. There is no problem. Huh? You can use before and after together. You can put icons. You can put images, which you will see how to. Anything you can put. Right. So we have learned selectors. We haven't learned what to apply, how to apply. Can you apply image? Can you apply symbol? That is not the concept we learned. The concept we learned is what is the meaning of before, after, first, last. What is the meaning of these selectors? What we can apply, we are going to learn that now. So we can apply colors. Usually colors in CSS, you can use color name. So hexacode, RGB, and RGBA. That is, you can define. Colors can be defined with this. Color name, color hexacode RGB and RGBA. So color name hexacodes you learned in HTML itself. Already you learned in HTML how to define color name and hexacode. So hexacode, how to write, already I told you in HTML. Hash, you can define. So a 6-digit code or 3-digit code. 6-digit code, red value, green value, blue value. 3-digit code, red, green, blue. And what is the minimum value? Minimum number starts with how much? Minimum starts with how much? Hexa minimum value. Yes. So minimum starts with 0 and maximum will be F. Maximum will be F. 0 to F. So in HTML, that is a general basic thing you have learned. How to give the hexa codes and how to write the color names. Because HTML supports the color name and hexa code, so you have to know it. So when you want to apply the effects, you can apply. Suppose I want to apply the background. So here we are defining body, for body, background color, some color name, yellow or green or something. That is color name. It's applied. I can use a color shade. So hash, so red value. So I will give FF, that means high. And green value, so that is 0, 0. And blue value, that is EE. It will be like this. How to apply colors we already learned in HTML. It will be applying this color. You change this to FF, then it will be little light pink, like. Suppose you change this to from 0 to AA, then it will have more light color. So we have like DD, it will be more light color. You can change the shades, you can apply the shades. So that is, you can say DF, you can write anyway. So this is hexa. Already we know this because we learned this in HTML itself. Because HTML can give the colors like that. So generally it gives colors by color name or hexa. Here in CSS Extra is RGB, red, green, blue. First red value, green value, blue value, order. And every color value can be from 0 to 255. So 0 to 255. So red value, green value, blue value, you can keep up to 0 to 255. So that is RGB. You see now 255, that is red. Green 0, so blue 0. So now you can see that color will be red color. So I defined as 255. Then the blue, green, I will say some 200. It will get that color and you can apply that color. So you can apply through color shades. You can define a lot of shades. But the problem is these colors are solid colors. So due to that, anything behind them is not visible to everyone. So if anything is behind that color, some logo or some photos is behind it, it is unable to show it properly. So that is the reason we have to apply another option, A, RGBA. A is alpha channel. Alpha channel will increase the opacity, transparency, so that you can see through. That is very regularly used. So suppose I'm creating a data list. In that data term, some username and data definition, input type is equal to text. And another data term, password. And the input type is equal to password. And here we are defining some button. Let's keep that in data list only. So as data definition button login. That is general appearance of content here. So let's add one more data definition empty here, just to keep some content there. So, or we will keep a margin for that will be fine. Okay. Now, this must appear. I will remove that. Keep it outside, right? Login. Okay. And this entire set is in a div. And that div have an ID as container. And I am writing effect here, hash container. So for container, so we are configuring background color as suppose background color as some red. Okay. And suppose I given padding and all I will tell you now. Some space adjusted like this. So it is having some width, some 300. Now, later we can adjust its alignments and all. So that means align item center. You will learn about that. So display as flex like that. So we can add effects also. This is not required now data. But in this background, we have body. So body background. Suppose we have an image. I will show you now how to put images and all. Don't worry. We have like an image like shoe.jpg. So background and image is present. And this box is dominating the color. You cannot see what is behind it. So generally, what we do is background color. To make it transparent, we use RGBA. Red is 255, green 0, blue 0. And last value, you have to keep opacity transparent. Opacity can be defined from 0 to 1, 0, 0.2, 0.3, up to 1. Suppose I given 0.6. Now see the transparency will be there. You can see the shoe behind that box. That makes transparent images. We can keep the images transparent. So that is RGBA. You can increase the transparency. So 1.9, 0.9. You see, decreasing the transparency. 0.4, the transparency increases. You can change the value to increase or decrease the transparency. So that is generally how the effects are configured and defined. So colors for CSS can be any of these. So the color can be green, or red or anything, you can make it transparent. Suppose to make it green transparent, first value will be 0, second value will be 255. And it will get the green color with the transparent. So that is possible to clearly see when you have background images and all. How to put background images that we are going to see. But this is the colors. We can give colors. So we can give color name, color hexacode, RGB, and RGBA. Actually, colors can be defined with gradients. Colors can be defined with gradients. So we have like gradient is nothing but mixture of several colors. You can mix several colors and create a gradient of colors. Actually, gradients, so we generally call as color gradients. So actually gradients, we have linear gradient. So we have a radial gradient, linear and radial gradient. So linear gradient is horizontally, vertically defining the colors. Radial gradients will apply from center, from outline. They will apply them. So let's see how we can apply the gradients. So, but gradient colors can be applied only by using background image, because it's a creating of colors. So it will be applied only as image, not background color. Background color can be only one color, not multiple colors. If you want background multiple colors, then you can use gradients. So we have linear gradient and radial gradients. So option is very simple. Just what we have to do is we need to apply. So background for that container, background is not color. We will write background image. And background image will have the gradient colors. They are defined by using an option linear gradient. In the linear gradient, you have to tell the colors. So I have a red color and a yellow color like this, 2 colors. You can apply any number. You can see the gradient will be like this. So we have a combination of 2 colors. That is linear gradients. You can have 3, 4, 5, any colors. So that means I can go here and define one more green. It will apply this color also, red, green, yellow. You can add multiple colors. You have some effect style. Suppose I want here, you can write the effects like 2 right, 2 left, 2 top. So like different effects will be there. So we have like, so first option is 2 right. I'm writing like this, 2 right. That means it will be applied towards the right side, means vertical, left to right. We can say 2 right top. So it will apply, so top to right, we have an option to top. So that means you can apply the combination like top right, and it will apply the top right, comma, so color. It will apply like this. We can have combination of colors. This is applied with background image. With background image, you can apply the colors and configure it. This is gradient. Gradient can define even degrees, angle, 90 degrees, 30 degrees like that. That means you can even write. So here, instead of to top right and all, to top right, to bottom left like that. You can also use 45 degree. It will rotate by 45 degrees. Suppose I said 65 degree. So it will rotate by 65 degrees. You can keep that rotating as the background. We can make it. We can also define RGBA. Gradient can be transparent also. That means just every color you write with RGBA so that it can be transparent also. So red, green, blue, yellow can be transparent. Suppose I want green transparent. Then what I can do is at the green colors, I can write like RGBA, and red is 0, red is 0, green is 255. So blue. So that is here we can define red, green. Green we will put as RGBA. And here we will put, so 0, already this is there now. RGBA will be green color 0, red 255, 0 and 0.4. That makes the transparency. And you can see only green color we kept transparent. So behind that green color, we can see that. Right. So you can use hexa codes. You can use RGBA. You can apply the colors in all the styles. Any style you want, you can configure and define it. So that is gradient. So you also have repeating gradient. Another option is the repeating gradient. Background image, we can add linear repeating linear gradient. It is nothing but it will continue the colors up to end. That means you have to justify repeating gradient as so red, so green, and blue. And you can see, so here it's not applied because when you are giving repeating linear gradient, you should also tell how much percent also. Percent, it will give more. So red, green, I will say yellow. Yellow. And it will give you that. Green, I will give as light green. light green. It will apply that color. Now, what is the advantage is repeating linear gradient. You can set percentage. That means red percent how much, yellow percent how much. Suppose light green 20%. Yellow, I give it some 10%. You can add that percentage. It will apply accordingly.